Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast Special Edition show where I preview and predict the 2023-24 college football season. This is going to be a multi-part show. We will do a show for each of the Power 5 conferences, and then we'll do a Group of 5 show as a whole as a different part, and then we will do college football playoff, national title, bowl games, Heisman, all that stuff. And then each conference preview for the Power 5 individuals, and then the Group of 5 will do a few bowl predictions as we go through this. All right, we'll start with the ACC. I'm going to do my projected standings. So don't forget, no more divisions in the ACC, which is wonderful for this conference considering how much the Atlantic dominated the Coastal over the years. So, I have coming in first place in this conference, the Florida State Seminoles. Florida State, I really like this team. I have them going undefeated. I've been going 12-0 on the year, 8-0 in conference play. I think this team's absolutely loaded. I love Jordan Travis, their quarterback. They have a couple good running backs in Trey Benson and Lawrence Tafali. They have good receivers. And what's important for Florida State is that they have experience on the offensive line. I think that is vital to the success of their offense, in particular the running game and even the passing game, so they could block for Jordan Travis. Their defense is pretty good. Their pass rush I like. And even their secondary is pretty deep too. But I think the one concern I have for Florida State is their special teams. Like, how will that work into itself? So, this Florida State team is very loaded from top to bottom, and I'm picking them to go undefeated, and they're going to have their best season since 2013 with Jameis Winston. Okay, coming in second, I have the Clemson Tigers. I have them going 11-1 on the season, 7-1 in conference play, with the one loss going to be against Florida State. I picked them to come in second instead of first because of some key losses that they've had that I don't think that they can replace that well. Like Florida State, they lose Treshaun Ward as a transfer. They lose Jamie Robinson on defense. I think those guys are replaceable. Miles Murphy, big loss. Brian Brees, big loss. Those are big losses. Jordan McFadden on the offensive line, big loss. Linebacker Trenton Simpson, big loss. But Cade Klubnik in year 2 should be better. Will Shipley's back. Bo Collins, Antonio Williams, wide receivers. They have a good offensive line and some younger guys on the line, which helps them long term. They're good in the defensive trenches. Their linebackers are good, and they have an excellent secondary. So I won't be shocked if Clemson ends up winning this conference. Coming in third, I have North Carolina, also with the record of 11-1 overall, 7-1 in conference play. I think North Carolina is going to be awesome. Drake May is going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the country. He's in play to win the Heisman. I almost bet him to win the Heisman. And we'll do features at the end of every conference preview podcast to do like over-unders, and I'll give out ones that I like, and I'll bet on one thing from every conference that I like from a value standpoint, whether it's a total, a future in terms of like win the conference or whatever. So they're deep at running back, North Carolina. They have good receivers. They have 2 good tight ends. Veteran late in offensive line. Their pass rush has some questions, especially the run defense. And even their secondary isn't great either. They get a transfer, Antavius Lane, on defense, and then their special teams are reliable. So Carolina, I think, is going to be there at the end, and they're going to be a contender for a New Year's Six Bowl at the end of the year. Coming in fourth place in the conference with a record of 9-3, 5-3 in conference, the Miami Hurricanes. This Canes team is interesting. What I think is best about this team is that they have an offensive line that's veteran-laden. A couple of veterans coming in from other teams. Matt Lee and Javion Cohen as transfers. Zion Nelson's back. Jalen Rivers is back. Quarterback questions. They have a good receiver. Obviously, their head coach needs to prove more. But what makes this team really good is their defense. I love this team's pass rush. And they have two excellent safeties as well. And they have a really good kicker in Andres Borgalis. Coming in fifth place in the conference, a bounce-back season. I have them going 8-4 overall, 5-3 in the conference. The Louisville Cardinals. I think Louisville's going to be better. Their schedule breaks well for them. They have a couple good running backs in Jawar Jordan and Isaac Guerrero. And Guerendo's a transfer receiver, Jamari Thrash, I should say. Couple of guys on the offensive line I like. They get Stephen Herron, the transfer defensive end. Ashton Gallott's back. And they have a couple guys I like in the secondary, too. But my issue at Louisville is that they lose a lot of key players, which I think could hurt them. Coming in sixth in the conference, I have 9-3 overall record, but 5-3 in the conference. The Virginia Tech Hokies. I think Virginia Tech's going to surprise some people this year. They have some good transfers coming in at receiver, and they have a good special teams guy in Tucker Holloway. Their schedule breaks right for them. The offensive line has some questions. One reliable guy in Caden Moore, though. Pretty good secondary, which is good. And they have a good kicker in Peter Moore. So I think Virginia Tech is one of those teams that's going to luck into an easy schedule. And I can't wait to see what their win total is. Coming in seventh in the conference, 7-5 overall, 4-4 in conference play. The Duke Blue Devils. Duke's interesting. I think they're going to be competitive. Riley Leonard returns at quarterback. They have a couple of good offensive linemen. They have a good receiver in Jalen Calhoun. Their pass rush has some questions. I like Dwayne Carter, the interior lineman. And they have a couple of good safeties on defense as well. Coming in eighth in the conference, 7-5 overall, 4-4 in conference play. The Wake Forest Demon Deacons. I think Wake takes a step back with losing Sam Hartman. They do have excellent receivers. Jamal Banks is back. Taylor Morin, Donovan Green, a good running back in Justice Ellison. A couple of good offensive linemen, which should help them. Their defense is a little suspect, but I do like some of their defensive backs. But I do think the loss of Hartman and A.T. Perry will be too hard for them to overcome. Coming in ninth, I have 6-6 overall, 4-4 in conference play. The Pittsburgh Panthers. Pitt, I don't think will be that good. I think they take a little bit of a step back. They do have guys on offense that I like: Rodney Hammond Jr., Conta Muffield, and Gavin Bartholomew. And they have a decent offensive line, too. It's some veterans. Pass rush is good. Deion Hayes, Devin Danielson, seniors. Okay secondary, and they have a good kicker in Ben Soils. But my issue with Pitt is that they lose a lot of guys, including Kalijah Cansey, which is a humongous loss in their defense. Coming in 10th, I have with the 7-5 record overall, 3-5 in conference play, the Boston College Eagles. BC has some changes. They do lose some key players, including Zay Flowers. Ryan O'Keefe's back for his 5th year. They have a couple of good offensive linemen. They have a good running back in Kai Robico. A couple of good pass rushers. Secondary's okay. So BC should make a bowl. 11th place in the conference. I have the Syracuse Orange, 5-7 overall, 2-6 in conference play. Syracuse, they lose their running back, LaQuinn Allison, who is suspended to start the year. I like the receiver Trevor Pena on special teams. They have a good tight end, and Arande Galtz in the second. Their defense, they have a couple of solid guys I like at linebacker and at defensive end. Justin Barron's back at safety. But two big losses on this team that they'll miss dearly are Matt Bergeron and Garrett Williams, the tackle and the cornerback, respectively. They'll be missed on that team. Coming in 12th, I have the NC State Wolfpack, 4-8 overall, 1-7 in conference play. I think NC State takes a step back. I think they're going to disappoint this year. Not a lot of guys back, but they lose a lot of guys who are vital to their success over the past several years. Julian Gray is a good special teams guy. They have some guys on the offensive line. Devin Van's a good interior defenseman. They have a decent secondary, and they have a good pass rusher in Peyton Wilson, decent kicker in Braden Neverson. So maybe they'll be better than I think. In 13th place with a record of 3-9 overall, 1-7 in conference play, the Virginia Cavaliers. Virginia literally has no offensive players to speak of. Zero. They have a couple of decent pass rushers in Chico Bennett. They have Ricky Mizon and Aaron Famoy on defense too. But this team really has no talent to speak of, and it's unfortunate. And then in the cellar, 1-11 overall, 0-8 in conference play, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Georgia Tech's just terrible. They have nobody reliable. Dante Smith, the running back, is going to be good. They have a good defensive tackle in Daquan Dowsey. And they do lose some guys. Keon White on defense, Hassan Hall on offense, Nate McCollum transfer. So a lot of big losses on that team too. So there you have it for the predicted standings for the ACC for this season. Now I'm going to do some bold predictions for the ACC for the season. So without further ado, here we go. The first one I am going to predict is that Syracuse will fire Dino Babers after the season. Dino Babers has had some good moments with Syracuse last year. They lost in the Pinstripe Bowl, 5-7 2 years ago. Disastrous 1-10 in COVID year, 5-7 before the pandemic. So I think this is put up or shut up for Dino Babers, and I think that that's a coach that is on the hot seat coming into the season. Another bold prediction for the ACC this season is that Florida State quarterback Jordan Travis will be in New York for the Heisman Trophy. I really think he's poised for a big season. He has a lot of weapons and a great offensive line. And we talked about Travis earlier in the show. So I think we'll be seeing him in New York this season. And another bold prediction for the ACC is that at some point during the season, it will be announced that they will be getting SMU from the AAC. There's a lot of rumors about teams switching conferences, and SMU to the ACC has been a hot rumor. And the team that I think should belong in the ACC is West Virginia. That program should be in the ACC. I think Rutgers should be in the ACC. SMU, I don't think belongs in the ACC. I think they belong in the AAC. But there's been a lot of rumors about SMU going to the ACC. So I'm going to predict that SMU will be announcing its move to that conference at some point during the season. And before that, I obviously the ACC championship game. Florida State versus Clemson. Going to be a great game, great atmosphere in Charlotte. I think it's going to be a mix of both fan bases. And obviously if Clemson were to win this potential game, they would go to the playoff. And if Florida State were to win, they would go to the playoff. The conference is a lot stronger than it's been in years past. I just think Florida State is deeper than Clemson this year. And that offensive line, I think, is one of the best units in the country. So I'm going to go with Florida State over Clemson in the 2023 ACC Championship, as they'll be in play to go to the 2023-24 college football playoff. All right, so win totals. Boston College is 5.5. I project that I'm at 7. The over is -134, the under is +110. We don't have to go through that, so pass. Clemson's over under is 9.5. Juice to the over. Pass. Duke's at 6.5. I have them at 7.5. Over is +126. I'll consider that. Florida State over under 9.5. Over is -144. Under is +118. I would take Florida State over and parlay it with the team from another conference. That's how much I like them. Georgia Tech's at 4.5. Juice to the under. Like I said, they're going to be terrible. Louisville's over and under is 8.5. Juice to the under. That's pretty close. I'd pass. Miami's 7.5. That is low. Over 7.5 wins +110. That's insane. Insane low for Miami. NC State is 6.5. Juice to the over. That's an under that I would consider. North Carolina's at 8.5. Overs +122. Unders even or -150. I love that over a lot. Pitt 6.5. Pass. Under 6.5 +160. Syracuse is at 6.5. Juice to the under. Pass. Virginia 3.5. Juice the under. Pass. I have them at 3 wins. Virginia Tech's 5.5. Over 5.5 +124. Oh, I love that one. And Wake over under 6.5. Overs +118 and unders -144. Oh, juice to the under. So my favorite win total, I have a couple. Virginia Tech over 5.5 wins +124. North Carolina over 8.5 wins +122. And Miami over 7.5 wins at +110. Those are 3 I really like. I like the Virginia Tech over the most. I can't believe they're 5.5. Like, there's no way they're not making a bowl game. So I'm going to mark that one down as the one I'm going to bet in terms of win totals. The conference winner. Clemson's +150, Florida State's +170. Pitt and UNC are 11-1, Louisville 14-1, Miami 20-1. So is NC State. Duke's 40, Wake's 50, Syracuse 75, Virginia Tech 90, BC 130, Virginia and Georgia Tech 200. Vatech, from a value standpoint, absolutely love it, 95-1. That's crazy, insane value. I think NC State is super overvalued. Miami at 20 is not bad. North Carolina 11-1 has some value. That is one that I like. But the Virginia Tech at 95-1 is awesome. And I do like Carolina at 11-1 because of Drake May. And say they get to play Clemson or Florida State in the title game, and Drake May outplays Cade Klubnik or Jordan Travis, then North Carolina at 11-1 is a good play. So if I had to bet an ACC winner from a value standpoint, it's North Carolina at 11-1, although 95-1 for Virginia Tech is crazy. National title game and Heisman Trophy futures will be on the one where I do the bowls and such. And the college football playoff odds as well. Oh, conference exactas. The ACC is not there, which stinks. But the Fred Blytonoff Award for Best Receiver and the Doak Walker Award for Best Running Back are both up. We'll do that for those. And then the other one we'll do will be undefeated regular season. And then other regular season parlays as well. So there you have it for the part 1 of the 2023 college football predictions show. That is the ACC. Next up will be the Big Ten.